this way. From Vegas nights to beach town vibes, we're laughing your party, you're in for a ride. Bachelor mayhem, city lights glow. Wild adventures, let the good times roll.
Welcome to Drunken Suits. I'm Bobby Carlson.
I'm Will Kroboth.
In Kroboth, where are we shipping out to today?
We are shipping out to Boston.
Hey!
It's going to be a good one. I'm excited. As you can tell, look at the attire. For all those just listening, we got our green on and everything. It's going to be a fun one.
Yep, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, living it up. Get a bit of luck in you. Maybe get to do an Irish kiss and pinch anybody that's not wearing green.
A little Sam Adams going on. A little cheers. There we go.
Cheers. Cheers to another episode of Drunken Suits. Here we go. If this is a first-time listener, what this podcast is about is we're kind of covering different cities across America, what they have to offer for bachelor parties. We're kind of giving tips and tricks, learning different things, and also hearing some crazy stories from people's events or hearing people's trips and how they went. Today we're talking about Boston. Today we're getting right into it. Boston, got your Northeast up there. If you don't know it, Massachusetts. All right, let's get into it. State, pretty big, not crazy big, but the Boston area, very big. It's big at like 655,000 people, and the greater area, it's about 4.9 million.
Yep.
Whoa.
It's massive. Like you said, capital city of Massachusetts, but really kind of like that general, almost like capital or hub for any one of those New England states. So it's a massive city for the northeastern Pennsylvania, United States. Almost slipped up.
We used to live in Pennsylvania. So when you say Northeast, it's always thinking Pennsylvania. But Boston's real cool. It's got a lot of history in it. It's been around since the colonies, since the Revolutionary War. Boston Tea Party, you might, ring a bell there. But what does it have to offer for bachelor parties? That's what we're getting into today. Average age there, you're getting about 32, 33 years old. It's kind of this younger professional and student aspect there, which kind of brings that age down, which also means there's bars, pubs, nightlife, and things to do. So bachelor parties, definitely go there.
Yeah, and you touched on a little bit, but the historical significance, right? I think you have to at least touch on this a little bit when we're talking about Boston. But it's also going to play in to what we talk about down the line a little bit too. Right. So American Revolution, hugely important city. You talk about Boston Tea Party, Boston Massacre, Battle of Bunker Hill, all that. There's a lot of sites that can be, a tourist attraction to go look at if that's your thing. But also on the note of historical significance, right, is the Irish influence, right? The Irish famine caused a lot of Irish folks to immigrate over to Boston, as it was like one of the closest cities in the United States to them. And hence, the strong St. Patrick's Day influence, why we have the great parties and all the green on today.
Yeah, and actually, it kind of co-aligns on St. Patrick's Day in Boston is when they kicked out like the police or something, the Irish police, and it had some relevance, and it's a holiday for Boston separately from St. Patrick's Day too, I saw. But basically now it's just the St. Patrick's Day, and it's just a bigger celebration. But more businesses are off. No government is open that day. No schools are open too. So it's pretty cool. Everybody's out and active. We'll definitely get into St. Patrick's Day, but let's kind of go over what there is first to do in there. We kind of said there's a bunch of things. There's about 9,000 restaurants. There's about 1,100 bars. and their sports teams. There's a whole lot to do here, so let's kind of jump in. Oh wait, actually, before we really jump in, I saw this quote from thewickedlocal.com, and it said, "While it might not be first on your nightlife destination that comes to mind, Boston takes third place on our list of America's best 24-hour cities." This is a quote I saw from there. Didn't see it in many other places, but that's this wicked local said it's on their top three.
Dude, who's this wicked local?
Hot take.
I want him to come on the podcast and talk about that because I strongly disagree. I have visited there, and yeah, I would absolutely maybe put it on the opposite list of not being open 24 hours.
Yeah, I saw a lot of things close early, which not great. Definitely boys get rowdy, but there's a lot of stuff to do during the day, which is cool.
Tons of stuff
I
during
think
the day, for sure.
really, yeah. You get active during the day here. I think one of the cool things to do, definitely on a bachelor party. I know we've talked about it in different episodes, but hitting a sports event, you got your Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, and Red Sox are right there. So that's a big thing to go do, get active, be in the sun, or not in the sun, but it's also like all seasons kind of are covered there between hockey, baseball, all that. So it's just like whenever you go, you always could catch a game. So that's something to do on a bachelor trip.
Yeah, and much to my dismay, being a New York sports fan, pretty much all those teams are like always good. So you'll probably actually see some high level play. um, but regardless, right? Like you said, sporting events always a fun activity during a bachelor party. Um, but yeah, I mean, let's jump over some other the outdoor activities. Um, right, there's the Charles River, so you have another fantastic opportunity for cabrewing, among other typical river water sports. But I guess maybe more specific to Boston, right? Whale watching is kind of a big thing. I saw that was like a touristy attraction locally. You can't do that a lot of places.
Well, I'm going to say it like a true Boston. If you can get over Boston's accent, it might not be so bad in Boston. But, the Boston Harbor, it's right there. The Boston Harbor. You go whale watching at the Boston Harbor. But
Hey,
yeah, but you're right. It's right there. That's pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, another thing too that's maybe not. I don't know. I don't know your group. I don't know if this is a typical bachelor party activity, but running is like a huge thing in Boston. It's like everybody there runs. So I don't know, maybe like a beer mile or something, but just something else to be aware of.
And there's the Boston Marathon, so maybe that's just kind of why it's there. But couldn't be me, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I will talk about golf.
Okay.
In Boston, there's 93 golf courses, and that's from downtown, including like public, private, and municipal. But within a 15-mile range, it brings in another 70 courses that again have that three categories. But I always think that's a great thing to do on a bachelor party. Get out golfing, gets kind of the whole group going, gets your blood flowing a little bit, can make bets, can do different things, different options on the course. So I think that's a solid. Boston has courses there.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask, what were they kind of ranked wise? Did you look into that at all?
I didn't so much, but also you're in the Northeast. It's going to be like highly seasonal. Um, it gets real cold in the winter up in Boston. So, but I didn't really check the rankings of these courses. I was more looking at just how many there are and how easily available they are. But there's definitely courses around, and you're going to find your nicer ones there too.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. And yeah. One other thing too is like we mentioned history. There's a lot of historical tours. That might not sound like something fun, but a lot of them have like brewery brew pub, drinking history tours. So maybe something fun for like one of your more laid back days to kind of just casually do.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main reasons you're going to Boston would be for the breweries, for the bars and
Yes.
breweries. Um, it's so I kind of want to give a special attention to breweries. One cool thing I saw, something for your group to book on, it's called City Brew Tours. The
Saw that
VIP
too.
range is oh cool. So it's 4 hours, and you try at least 16 different beers. There's 130 breweries around Boston, and I would say the most iconic. Hold it up, Krobo. Your Samuel Adams. Oh, what a beast! You just bit it off.
Love me some Sam Adams.
That was insane. That was
been
wow.
practicing that one.
Okay, that's a crazy one. But yeah,
Still
Sam
got all my
Adams right
teeth.
there to give tours and tastings.
Yeah, yeah. Sam Adams. Right. There's tons of distilleries and breweries. I guess mostly breweries. Right. A couple others that I had on my list here. The Harpoon Brewery. I had the Trillium. It seemed like they did a lot of innovative new as well as seasonal beers. Castle Island, Rock Bottom, Cheeky Monkey. This had looked like it had a ton of different diverse beers. I could go on and on. Oh, one other one, Lord Hobo. There's just an awesome name. I had to include that.
You had to. That's great.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, those are some cool breweries, man. I think really cool too. We going back to the Boston Harbor is the Cycle Boat Boston. Saw that, looked like a cool thing. Read some reviews about it, so I'm just going to give the honest. Not everything is great, right? We're not saying everything is the best city, the best everything. So I'm giving out here honest. It's a BYOB booze cruise around Boston. Um, there's not a spot to bike for every person that's on there. I think they do like 18, 20, or 24 people on it, and there's like 10 seats for bikes. But again, you're just kind of cruising around drinking. Not the worst thing in the world, but if you're going on for the bike tour, not necessarily getting a spot on the bikes.
Yeah. I guess along the lines of tours too, I saw that there was a good amount of like sunset tours. Cool to see maybe the city scenery, have a couple drinks before you go out at night or something.
Yeah, yeah. Get active during the day. That's always a cool thing. Um, I think another big thing people will be going to Boston for is the food,
Yeah,
right?
lots of good food.
Yeah, the New England seafood, the clam chowder. I'm not going to try to say
Chowder.
that in the Boston accent. All right, maybe I will. The clam chowder.
Yeah.
uh,
Uh,
yeah, that's a big thing. They also have a Chinatown in there. They have a Little Italy. All these like different influence to Boston has some great food options there.
dude, how did you not mention the lobster rolls too? Fantastic. That's like if there's one food thing that you got to try there that's not really the same anywhere else, I think it's the lobster rolls.
Well,
But yeah,
so if you're going on a bachelor party to Boston, get the lobster rolls, the clam chowder. It's a must-have.
I did see that
I don't like
it's kind
seafood,
of
so
funny. It's kind of funny too that there's like such a heavy Italian cuisine influence, considering it's all Irish people that kind of immigrated there initially, but now it's just like Italian food. So I don't know. You can draw your own conclusions on what that means about Irish food.
oh, throwing shots. Well, this St. Patrick's Day, if you're in Boston on a bachelor party, I would say there's a lot of pubs I was reading that are going to be open and serving some Irish food. get your Irish soda bread. That's my favorite Irish thing. St. Patrick's Day. Get your Irish soda bread.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do you want to jump over to talking about a little bit of the St. Patrick's Day activities specific to Boston?
I don't yet. I don't yet. I've got a little bit more research that I did. Don't want to cut off you, but there's some dancing clubs at night when you go out. I would try the Royale Boston, the Candy Bar Boston, Venue Boston, Tunnel Nightclub, or Garage Boston. Also, I don't know why everything that I've looked up has Boston in its name. Like nothing can just
Yes.
be its own thing. It's something Boston.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and on the
But
topic of
some,
nightclubs too, right? You got the Grand.
yep.
You got that's more of like a Vegas style club. Memoir, which is like a casino nightclub, so you can go gamble. Big Night Live and Royale. You might have said Royale, but that's what I had on my list.
Yep. I also have just like normal bars that aren't necessarily like dancing. Um, I'm not going to say this one right, but the like Hecate, Hecate,
Hecate. Hecate.
Hecate.
It's
Sure.
it's a mythical
uh,
god. I'm
there's
pretty
also
sure.
it's a what was that? I'm sorry.
Like a Greek or Roman mythology god.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking at all. Because in Mexico they have a beer that's Tecate. This is
I
Hecate, but
don't know the background behind that name.
yeah, all right. But then they also have a Fight Club, Boston, Oak Long Bar and Kitchen. There's some rooftops in Boston too, which is real cool. You get to see the harbor and like the skyline, like lookout rooftop and the Stratus. Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I had for daytime. I also just wanted to mention these couple things before the big festival. There's other
Yeah, let me
festivals
jump
that
in
you can
quick here
align with.
though. As you're mentioning
Oh,
these,
yes,
right?
sir.
A lot of rooftop bars, and a lot of the ones you mentioned were on my list of speakeasy bars. So that's another thing that's big
Oh,
too. Is
yeah.
they kind of have a lot of speakeasies. The one Hecate
Well, the
you mentioned, right?
Prohibition.
Yeah. Yep. Um, Yvonne's, Carrie Nation. There's a bunch. I won't list them all, but just wanted to throw that in there before we moved on.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about that historical significance into Boston, a lot of these buildings still have the very brick buildings, steep roads kind of thing. And when these times were there, the prohibition was there. Um, and so you have these speakeasies that are still around. Pretty cool. Pretty cool thing to check out, especially, a group of guys. You don't want to be the big party all the time. Speakeasy is a cool way to go.
Absolutely.
Um, but I personally like the crowds and I like people and I like energy and that gives me energy. So these festival ideas I've got, I think it's a real cool way to do that. Number one, the Boston Harbor Fest. Did you see
What's
this one?
that? Nope. What is that about? I'm not
It's
sure.
a it's on Independence Day and it's a weekend of like music, history, and culture. I think people are like dressed up, but music going on, food, different stuff. But Independence Day kind of fest. I think you
Nice.
can dump tea, like fake tea, into the harbor on uh, the Boston Tea Party Day too, kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
There's also the
I like my coffee
Boston
black and my
Early
tea in
Music.
the harbor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, your group's into that, sure, but again, it's for bachelor parties. I don't know, but festivals, sure, that's real cool. That's fun. Boston Early Music Festival. This is every 2 years, and it's early music, like colonial music, I think. And then there's also historical performances. For bachelor parties, it's real cool. I think bring your family. I don't know about bachelor party. There's the Boston Calling Music Festival, which is a normal music fest. That's kind of more up the alley for a bachelor party. If your bachelor party's into wine, There's two festivals, Uncorked and Boston Wine and Food Festival. Those are two different ones that they're just wine festivals. And then there's also the Bowl of Zole Boston. Probably not saying that right either. But it's a Mexican like festival, Mexican food everywhere, and music.
Okay. Okay. Those are a
And
lot of festivals
then,
I didn't anticipate. So there's one I
right?
was
Yeah.
anticipating, which I think you're about to get into here.
Yeah. The holy grail of Boston festivals. Bring on the Irish, because here is St. Patrick's Day in Boston, Massachusetts.
All right. All right.
Let's let's get into it then. I think you've got a lot probably written down on it, so I feel like I've been talking. You hit it off.
Yeah. All right. So, St. Patrick's Day, right? What is it? It's like the celebration party of the patron saint of St. Patrick. Um, but really, it just becomes like a celebration of everything Irish culture. So, it's just kind of known for tons of drinking, parades, festival, wearing the color green, drinking green beers, just drinking not only beer, not only the Guinness, you got the Irish whiskeys. Yeah, I mean, tons of fun. Boston specifically is huge on St. Patrick's Day. They have their annual parade. I think it was like the first one in America or the first city in America where they really kind of embraced St. Patrick's Day as a holiday. But this parade has floats. It's got bands. It's got like military displays. Um, there's just really a citywide festival too. All the pubs, the bars, tons of bar crawls, tons of like specials and activities going on. Yeah, I mean, kind of like everything that you might have in like a typical bachelor party, where it's just like a bunch of fun, hanging out with everybody you're around, drinking a ton. I feel like that kind of embodies this day very well.
Yeah, you're in Boston. It's St. Patrick's Day. Your boys are there. Put on some green. Go find some redheads. Get down. Go right to the parade first. Well, first off, I have dibs on the redheads. Love them. Also, the blondes and brunettes. Love them. It's great. But but parade start off the day. Get some beers flowing in you. Parade's going. You're hooting. You're hollering. Great. Then you hit off with an Irish bar crawl. You're going into the different Irish pubs around. You're getting some live music and trying some different Irish food. Then this St. Patrick's Day in Boston, I would send it to Dropkick Murphy's concert going on. That's at the House of Blues and MGM Music Hall. So again, bachelor party in Boston this year. That's what you should be hitting. If you're listening to this later or planning for next year, look it up, see if there's a concert. That's always, kick ass too. Boys singing along, drinking some beers.
Yeah, dude, isn't that so cool that they do kind of like a reoccurring performance on St. Patrick's Day, the Dropkick Murphys? That's so cool to me. Like every year, you can
That's
count on them being
awesome.
there.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you gotta send it, right? Like if you're in Boston and you're doing St. Patrick's Day, that has to make it on your list. Like that's it's a
Yeah,
staple.
I don't know any other song other than "Shipping Up to Boston." I'm not Irish myself, but it gets me fired up to celebrate the Irish whenever I hear that.
Honestly, their entire concert could be that song, and I would be okay with it. Just five
Absolutely.
times on repeat. Now each time just go crazy.
Yep. Get even more and more hype each time.
Oh man, I want to sing it now, but I like holding back.
Yeah, and that's probably good for all the viewers.
Oh yeah, we would lose fans quick. Well,
Let's
I
not do
wanted to
that. We're
drop
still
this out
starting
there.
out.
Yeah, right. I mean, this could be my chance to get famous.
Yeah, it could be my chance to lose fame too.
um, but I did want to shout, going backwards here. I wanted to shout out some areas of Boston where bar crawls are popping, and there's a lot of like bars centered around. Um, and definitely like if you want to spend your time in Boston going around, I would say probably Uber is the best way around. But like you don't need a car, and if you're going to spend it in one area, there's plenty of bars where you could just walk around doing bar hop. But Somerville, North End, Fenway, Fenway slash Kenmore, Chinatown, Jamaica Plain, and then also East Boston. This has a lot of nightlife that's right on the water, like waterfront bars. I think that's really cool. Cool aspect, a little bit unique, especially if you're taking in a trip from Chicago or Midwest or somewhere else and you wanted to go to Boston, I think really cool. Get on the harbor, see some of the nightlife that's on the water. I think that would be real cool, especially like a rooftop. You see the harbor, see this like the skyline lit up. I think that's solid. Especially
Yeah,
seeing
I like
Paddy's
that
days, like get active.
for sure, for sure. Hey, one other thing too, I had kind of as a topic idea was comedy clubs. It seemed like there was a lot of those in the city of Boston, more so than others. Some of the ones I had down here were Improv Asylum, Laugh Boston, the Wilbur, Duck Duck Goofs is a new one, and I like the name. But yeah, I didn't know that Boston was big on comedy, so that could always be a fun activity too.
Actually, I know there's this one performer that performs a lot in Boston is Matt Rife.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I just know that he lives close to it. I think he lives maybe in Boston or Rhode Island or something, kind of like close, but he uses Boston just because it's like close to home a lot. And I heard that on, I think he was doing some interview or something. I think he was with like Bert Kreischer or something. And he was talking about it, maybe Tom Segura, and he was talking about how much he loves just performing in Boston. So that would be really cool. I think that's awesome idea for a bachelor party. Get out to a comedy club.
Yeah, and um, there's not a lot of like your traditional crazy bachelor party kind of things to do in the city, so you may be looking for more things to do at night. So yeah, that might actually be a really good idea. Now that I'm kind of convincing myself by talking about it as a nighttime activity.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I didn't even look up strip clubs or casinos this time around. I feel like we talk about it on every episode. And if your group wants to participate in that kind of bachelor party, go for it. We're not You're not going to listen to this podcast and change your mind. Oh, I have to go to this strip club because I heard drunken suits talking about it. Look, you guys want to go have fun. We're not stopping you. We're not discouraging it or encouraging it at this point. If your group is going, go have a blast. Get a table. I don't care. Invite me. Whatever.
There it is. I was
um,
waiting for some
yeah.
pro comment.
But in reality, dude, it's this podcast. We're just kind of telling people what's unique about these different cities. So my biggest takeaways of Boston is the harbor's right there. There's history in Boston. There's a ton of breweries in Boston, and there's some different food and really good seafood. Um, if you're and there's activities to do like golf and different stuff. But really, I think if you're going to Boston, you're going there for a sports game, maybe a brewery tour, and then maybe one of these festivals and a nice dinner. I think that's like an ideal bachelor party you can make out of Boston. But for what I'm hearing and kind of the reviews I saw online, it's really expensive and maybe it's not that crazy adventure, last hurrah, the craziest stories you're getting. It's not coming out of Boston. What'd you see?
Yeah, to that point, I saw the statistic that it's like 50% more than the standard cost of living Boston City is. So it's absolutely not a cheap alternative or location that you could go to. Another thing too is the bars do close very early. So I mentioned that I've been to Boston. I was there on a trip with my girlfriend at the time, visiting her friends. So one, had to be on my best behavior, but two, we were kind of just going with the flow, doing what they were doing. But even still, right, we made it to midnight, and they start like ushering, kicking people out the door. So it's a little bit weird in that aspect. Didn't seem like there's a whole lot of food open late at night either. Um, but yeah, so history's a big thing, and I think the Puritan influence that kind of helped found the city is still there in that sense. At least when it comes to like typical bachelor party activities.
Yeah, I could see this being a great family trip. I could see it, different stuff, bachelor party. It's going to be there for some people, especially if you're close and you don't have to fly in. There is a close airport, but you're spending more and more money, when you're flying places. If you're going to be flying, maybe fly somewhere else. I just think this is. I didn't mean that like that. I just meant like if you're having people travel. Yeah, I think this makes sense for that. Hey, we already live outside of Boston. Let's just make this like the bachelor trip. Makes sense. But yeah, so I mean, I kind of want to break it down. Then I kind of gave a little breakdown of everything I'm seeing. Should we get into ratings?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. Well, you take the reins here. I kind of just gave a breakdown of what I saw and what I'm thinking. But what's your overall?
Okay, yeah, I mean, you did touch on a lot of it, right? Um, it seems more like a great vacation spot for, family or just not a bachelor party. Lots of opportunities, I guess, on the positive side, a lot of opportunities for day drinking. Seems like that could be a very popular thing. Um, Not a whole lot of things on the nighttime side. Like I said, bars closing kind of early. Um, yeah, lots of activities to do during the day. A lot of them are more historical, more, again, family friendly, right? Plus, you add in the level that it's relatively expensive. So I'm going to go with a 6.3.
6.3. That's fair. That's real fair. I'm definitely right in that same, like, maybe, a couple points off or up. But I mean, I was really thinking right there too. Um, there's things to do season around, but there's very seasonal things. It's going to get real cold. There's festivals that happen, which is nice in the summer. You could get out golfing or brewery tours, the boats. Weather can be really iffy for a lot of this stuff. So if you're not having good weather, this there's not much to do else. Like a lot of these things are like getting out and doing something. Um, I'm gonna 6.3 is like really good. Um, I'm gonna do a 6.2 then.
All right. All
Six point
right.
two. I think it's real fair. I think it's a cool city. I could definitely see myself going and absolutely just changing my mind and loving it. But it's because you're planning it out and having a good time. But yeah, I think
I think,
that's pretty fair.
yeah, I just wanted to say now let's throw in the wrinkle, right? If you were going to go during St. Patrick's Day, I think you could bump that up easily, like a whole point level, maybe, right? I think that's a big aspect too. Maybe something we branch out more to a general topic is if your city is known for one specific event, so like in the case of Boston, St. Patrick's Day, or New Orleans with Mardi Gras, right? I think that you might want to take into consideration one on the one side, right, might be more expensive. On the other side, there might be a lot more activities to do. So, I think we kind of touch on that a little bit here and there, but just make sure you're aware of what's going on when. and be intentional about either booking something at that time or not at that time.
Yeah, great point. St. Patty's Day, it's gonna bring it up to. I would love to be in Boston at St. Patty's Day. I would say I don't know another city other than Chicago that celebrates St. Patty's Day as hard. I know everybody is going to have their own things, but well-known things, Boston and Chicago. So if you're listening, you're there. Enjoy St. Patrick's Day. Boston, do better.
Go Yankees!
Ooh. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
It's the last hurrah before the big day. Stories run wild in the craziest way. From Vegas nights to the beach town vibes. We're mapping your party, you're in